All right, we are on. Hello, my dear patrons. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining the Dissection Workshop here on Patreon. Thank you so much for being here, being present, and being studious, curious, excited, passionate about film as I am. I love to do this and I love spending the time with you. Tonight, I bring you my childhood favorite, Eve's Bayou. Just a quick rundown of the film so we know what we will be discussing tonight. Some background facts. Eve's Bayou is a 1997 American drama film written and directed by Cassie Lemons, who made her directorial debut. Samuel L. Jackson served on this film as a producer, and he also starred in the film along with Nisa Nicole Carson, Journey Smollett, Lynn Whitfield, Debbie Morgan, Megan Good, and the legendary Diane Carroll. What an all-star studded cast. What a great time we will have tonight. What an informative time we will have this evening. Eve's Bayou is a coming of age story on the power of memory to both heal and reopen wounds. Set in the 1960s Louisiana, praised for focusing on Black American culture of the South with absolutely no inclusion of racial politics. We get it. We get our ass beat. We's not slaves no more. We get it. This film totally dives into a vacuum of Blackness. Gothic, Creole, Southern, witchery, the things lemonade made of. so I really did enjoy this film, and something different is going to happen tonight. For all my patrons, two of my lovely patrons who are here, shout out to Christine and Elle, and my lovely patrons who are on the rewatch. Oh, the thought just left my head. What was I going to say? This story, oh my God, I totally forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say? All right, we'll skip it. I'm sure the thought will come right back to me. It was weird for me to have this story as a childhood favorite, because revisiting it as an adult opened my eyes to so many new layers, dark context that I totally, of course, wouldn't have known as a child. And tonight is going to work different. Here we go. My thought is back. Tonight is going to work different. You guys have seen me break down film structure. If you guys have seen my lives on YouTube and in these private sessions, we have discussed in detail color theory. Tonight is going to work a little different in that we're going to focus on character tonight. Tonight is going to be a huge character study. Each character has a deep and complex story in this film that all works together. And because we are discussing something that's based on memory, and the theme of this movie being memory is what you make it. It's in the eye of the beholder. There's so many questions left to ask, so many questions left unanswered. And tonight we're going to be a super family and ask questions together. And let's see what we come up with. Let's see what happens. So I do want to ask my patrons who are joining me live, Ellen, Christine, what were your original feelings upon watching this movie? How did you guys feel about this movie in general?
You want to go first, Elle, or you want me to go?
You go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm just telling my age because I am old. But when this movie came out, I wasn't a child. I was 19. So I was pretty much an adult when this came out and we first watched it. And I just thought it was really, really good. I just felt sad kind of at the end and kind of bewildered and kind of frustrated because I'm like, it's so sad that and kind of tragic about what happened to the father, because throughout the movie, we were thinking that he was he was a not so great not so great husband, but father, he wasn't a bad father. And it was all, what happened to him was all based on a lie because of, his oldest daughter was upset with him. So that's what made it kind of tragic at the end for me. So I had a lot of mixed feelings after I saw Eve's Bayou. I saw it a couple more times throughout the years, but yeah, when I initially saw this film, those were my first feelings, like, oh, that's messed up. I was so sad about the dad. He didn't even do anything, but before it was revealed, I was really angry at him, and rightful. I know a lot of people's like that, rightfully so. And that lets me know how effective, the storytelling was in this, because when the older daughter said those things, we just automatically believed her, just like, her little sister did. So we went that route. And then when it came out that he didn't do anything, that feeling of guilt, like, he didn't even do anything. And now I feel bad, even though I wasn't the one that wished the voodoo on him, so that's what I felt about it, but I can imagine his daughter felt, 1,000 times worse than we did as an audience member, so.
What about you, Elle?
I interpreted it completely differently. I
Okay.
felt like he did more than what she said, and she was disassociating from what actually happened, because she kept saying, I don't remember. And I just remember thinking about, like, period, and why would she be trying to kill her sister over, like, I think I'm skipping the plot. Okay. Wait. Never mind. Hold on.
That's cool. We're gonna get into it anyway.
So I felt completely differently. I felt like he was guilty of even more so. And when I watched it as a kid, I didn't see like the layers, I would say, that are there. I just was like, oh, they're, a good family or whatever. I actually thought that Moselle and Miss Monroe were the same person. So, then watching it again as an adult, I was like, oh, okay, they just black.
The red hair. Yeah. It's the red hair, got us all twisted up. Well, we're starting off split right down the middle, and this is great. I really love this. All right, so let's dive in, and when we get to that juicy climactic part, let's argue. All right. All right, so let's dive in. We have our opening shot, and this is laid over a monologue by Eve, who as an adult is recollecting the summer when she was just 10 years old, down in Louisiana, down to the Bayou, right? And Eve says, memory is a selection of images, some elusive, others imprinted indelibly on the brain. She is our narrator. She is our protagonist. She is the leader to this entire story. This is Eve's recollection. And the theme of this entire movie is about the unreliability of memory and observation, right? Let's take a look at what these shots actually look like. We have this black and white, this very gritty, textured, like this texture to it, right? And this is the vision. This is what we see when we go into a vision representing both the past and the future. If you look at the actual colors, the lighting versus the shadow, the dark versus the light, we have a divide of identity. Eve, super conflicted, the dark versus the light, because she both honors and despises her father due to his multitude of adulterous actions against her mom and the family. This texture, this black and white vision is also the proof of the gift she has of her psychic sight. This is a generational gift. It's passed down to her from the bloodline of the Batiste family. And she can use her physical vision and her psychic vision to discover the secrets of the Batiste family. So let's dive into the history of who the Batistes are, how we got down to the Bayou, and what Eve knows about the possession of the Bayou. Her last name, her lineage, her history is based on the collective memory of the Batiste family, right? And she is told at some point, a general by the name of John Paul Baptiste is saved from sickness. He's saved from death by an African slave named Eve, who she gets her name from, who made this general some medicine. And Eve narrates in this monologue, perhaps it was gratitude, but she bore him 16 children. Now, to me, this already feels like an unreliable memory. This already feels like, is it or is it not? Because you have to think about the power structure and how love can look to two human beings who are not on the same racial or economic social structure. Can a slave love a general or slave owner? Can that happen, right? Has their ancestral history been romanticized? When you pass down a story like that from person to person to person, do we clean it up a little bit by the time it got to Eve? And along with the gifts in the form of magic, has this family also been generationally gifted with trauma within love? And she ends this monologue by saying, in return for his life, he freed her. He freed Eve and gave her the Bayou. So let's remember that line. We're going to put a pin in that and we're going to come back to it. Let's get inside of the Baptiste house. We open inside of Baptiste house during a party. And the first person we meet is Miss Maddie Monroe. And though we're in a party in the Baptiste home, why are we seeing her first? She don't even go here, right? So asking you, my lovely conversationalists, what do you think this imposes? How are we in our protagonist and her family's home, but we're meeting a different character? What do you think this is saying? Elle, you better do a sit up and hit that mute button.
Elle, you want to go, Elle?
Go ahead while she gets ready, Christine.
I don't know. I mean, right? I guess because I've seen the movie, I would say, you know, because she's sleeping with the husband, but just from that scene.
What about you, Christine?
When I'm seeing this, and it's like this shot is right directly after the monologue and everything about the Baptiste family, and this is a stranger, an outsider, and they're being shown first. It gives me this feeling of foreshadowing that she's going to be intruding and invading spaces where she's not supposed to be. That's what I'm seeing. Sensing from it.
Yeah. Absolutely. She somehow in the Baptiste home, she is a priority. She's a priority in a space that's not hers. And let's dive into color just a little bit. We have the sultry, the sexy, the passionate color red, decadent on her body. And every character, including her husband, speaks of her in an overtly sexual regard. There's only sex when they lay eyes on Miss Maddie, who is steaming down to the pants though, because she whining and grinding it down in the Baptiste living room, isn't she? So next we meet Daddy. And this shot says so much. Louis Baptiste, not physically in the home, but his essence lingers. And of course, he is directly online with that ass, right? He's absent. He's not in the home, but he still has them wandering eyes, and his eyes are on Maddie. Next, we meet the matriarchs. We have Roz, who was married to Louis Baptiste, and we have his sister, Moselle Baptiste. And what we can look at from the colors of these women, let's focus on Roz. Roz dressed in gold, matching the home, very muted, very invisible. She can kind of play into the background, but yet that style is you can't miss it. Regal, refined. We have Moselle Baptiste, who also matches this woman here in sort of like this neutral state, aligned with Roz, aligned with the home. And these women still have like these specks of red. They have their red lips, they got their red nails, but it doesn't mean what it means for Maddie. For these women, they are hurt in love. They dangerously in love, right? For red for them, for these women means there are some wounds here. There's some wounds in the past here. And so Moselle's husband does this thing for the party, and he takes pictures candidly of his favorite folks. And it doesn't go unnoticed. This is no mistake that the photos are the same color and texture as these visions, as these psychic, powerful visions, right? And he goes around creating visions of the women in this home. So now we have 10-year-old Miss Eve Baptiste, our protagonist, our leader of this story, and recounting this entire thing from her memory. Also captured here by Harry. Next, we meet Cicely, who's 14 years old. And Cicely here is caught right in between childhood and adulthood, sort of leaving the one, not quite entering the other. But when we see her in these opening sequences, we often see her with adult objects, right? She's always got alcohol or champagne or these pearls. Cicely she's branching off, exploring into her womanhood, but not quite stepping into that boundary thus far. So now the man of the hour is here. Physically present, we got Louis Baptiste, the husband and the father, and the first person he touches is Maddie. Wife back in the background off to the side. And this is where we start leaning into our themes, the unreliability of observance, the unreliability of vision, right? Because this appears harmless. We're dancing, we're in a party, we're drinking, we having fun. Louis can do this really sneaky thing where he can hide his intentions and his actions in plain sight. So what you're seeing ain't really what you're seeing. And he knows that. He knows that, absolutely. I want to talk here about some champagne because this was a really cool visual lineup. We have Cicely here holding champagne with her eyes right on her daddy, who was in a champagne suit, who's also being watched by her mother, Roz, who's almost like dipped in champagne, covered in champagne, right? And we have these two women, Roz and Cicely, both vying for the love and the attention of Louis. They don't got it. Cicely wants to covet it. Like she got the champagne, but she can't have it, right? Now, Roz, she has it, but it's not all that it's cracked up to be. This again leans into the theme of what it looks like ain't reliable. Cicely's holding this champagne, idolizing, if I could just have some of that, right? Idolizing his love, but Roz is living in the reality of it, not showing it. She's playing, she has a mask on, she's playing her role, refined, classy, a lady. But she knows that love is spiked. Let me not bring my last dissection in here. It's a whole new one. It's a whole new one. So I'm going to chime in with y'all again and ask some questions. And don't feel forced. If you want to chill out, you can absolutely chill out. But in this shot, why do we think Cicely and Maddie align? Just to wonder. L's out. How you feeling, Christine?
Okay. I get kind of confused with it because, you know, my memory is kind of foggy since I've seen this like 23 some odd years ago.
Uh-huh.
And, you know,
let's rediscover it together. Let's do it.
All those years, but I get kind of confused with the characters. Okay, the names. Like, I know all the faces, but the names. Okay, so
this is Cicely, the younger.
The oldest daughter is Cicely, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the
youngest daughter is Eve.
The hot muffin cake. What's her name?
Hot muffin cake, girl.
That's her. Is that her?
The little one or the mother?
No, not the mom.
The little one.
The red haired
That's
woman.
Eve. That's Eve. That's our lead character.
No, not the little girl. The one that
Maddie.
That's her, Maddie. Okay.
Yeah, Maddie, the sultry. Yeah.
Maddie and Cicely are aligned. Ooh, that's it. Because I don't know. I'm trying to see why would they be aligned, except for they do have some type of relation with the father, but Maddie's is more, you know, lustful and sexual. And I don't know about Cicely. I mean, from what she said, from what the letter revealed at the end, I don't want to spoil it all, but from the dad, that she was trying to come on to her own dad. I don't know. Maybe that's kind of like how they're aligned, because Maddie was lusting for the dad, and also Cicely was inappropriately, you know, lusting kind of for her dad.
That didn't quite happen here yet, so I don't know. But let's hold on to this question. Let's keep it in the cloud.
Yeah.
Let's hold on. Let's just remember it. We'll be back.
Be aligned and like be connected together, except for that they have what they have in common is the dad. Yes.
Let's keep it open-ended, but let's just remember the questions that we ask with this film. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christine. All right, so let's see. We are setting up in our very few first moments of this movie with Eve's emotional rejection, right? The champagne gets handed off so Louis can take Cicely out for a dance. And we see here the mother is giving physical, overt love to the youngest child, Poe. And the father is giving this big, overt love to her sister, Cicely. And where does that leave Eve? It leaves Eve with nothing, right? The middle child blues, right? And she's rendered invisible. She's absolutely invisible, and this totally breaks her heart. So we have our first vision. Our opening shot is confirmed that this vision is Eve's vision. And she witnesses her father as the image was shining in her pupil. She witnesses her father cheating on her mother with Maddie. Eve is literally enlightened. She awakes to the true nature of her father, literally went to sleep in the dark, woke up in the light, and saw the truth. This was just a literal representation of Eve knowing something that's gone unsaid for so long. So the first time that Eve actually does receive love from her father is when he just needs to like save his own image. I ain't really happy. You all right? I love you. He's bartering his love as a currency for him to be safe in the family. Don't tell, we good? All right. Well, Eve in this moment has a bit of exchange for herself. Without it literally being said, she agrees to keep this secret in exchange for comfort and for acknowledgement. You only dance with Cicely. All right, so if I don't say nothing, you gonna start dancing with me at parties? Like, can you love me too? Is essentially what she's asking. And then we have Roz, who this is the first time she also touches Eve. The first time she also comforts Eve and sees her is only when something is wrong. And she knows something is wrong, but she can't prove it. And so just this little shallow tabletop conversation she's having with Eve, what she really wants to know is, what was your daddy doing? And with that question is why she's giving her love and attention and comfort, but not quite asking. But Eve ain't gonna tell, and Roz ain't gonna get that answer, and Louis is dependent on her to keep that secret. And the thing about these parents between Roz and Louis, they actually never touch. There's no intimacy, there's no kissing, there's no longing moments. They're polite. They're really polite with each other. And Roz is desperately waiting for a connection with him that doesn't come. Look how disconnected they all are, right? Eve looking to Roz, Roz looking to Louis, Louis looking to Eve. None of them can see each other. And Eve, just like her mother, is rendered invisible, unseen, right? By this man in this house. So here we have a really, really intricate visual. Eve is upstairs getting ready for bed, and she's lying to Cicely about what she saw. Nothing happened, everything's fine. But we see Cicely in the mirror. What do y'all think that means? Eve lying, Cicely in the mirror. Oh, Elle is stepping up, hold up.
Well, I had learned from Latasha that whenever you see the character in the mirror, it's something about their truth. So maybe she knew that she was telling the truth. Like Cicely knew that Eve was telling the truth.
I like it.
That's all I got.
I like it. I like it. Christine, you good with that? You want to say you good?
I'm good with that. I'm still trying to learn about, when they have mirror images and cinematography. Because when I was looking at it, it just seems like when I think of mirrors, I think of an opposite personality, like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, like type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So again, I always go to foreshadowing. Like it seems
That's the
like,
thing. Like you're not wrong. Like you're not wrong. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a split of identity. It's literally a mask versus the monster, right? What he presents versus what he is in the dark. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah. So when they're showing Cicely in the mirror, that's when I'm thinking that her other personality, the Hyde, is going to emerge.
Somebody got to hide. All right. Well, let's see. You ladies are absolutely in line with mirror imaging. This is a disconnection of Eve's truth. Eve in the physical plane is lying, and Cicely in the mirror plane is like, okay, what's up? The truth is somewhere else. The truth is out of the room, right? And when they finally join frames, this is when Eve tells the truth. All right, well, I saw Daddy and Maddie. So now this mirror image means something different. Cicely is split in two. Now that she has the information to use and she joins Eve in the presence of the truth, she is still split in two. Cicely is having trouble between what she needs and what she wants. And what she really needs in this present moment is to idolize her father. You cannot destroy the image of the man that I've built in my head. He needs to be this person. Eve is representative of shattering that vision, right? And so what does Cicely do? She rewrites Eve's vision. She makes her vision unreliable. She makes her observation unreliable. She makes her memory untrustworthy. Well, I don't like that. So let me tell you what you saw. We got a word for that now. It's called gaslighting. This movie's full of it. But Cicely absolutely cannot deal with that right now. I need you to be online with this vision. They was laughing and joking and you woke up and saw that. All right. Can we move on? So Eve falls asleep and she has her second vision of the film. Her Uncle Harry, who walked around taking these beautiful photos of the party, making her happy, comforting her, is covered by this spider, and she envisions the death while she is asleep. She's woken up by this vision that doesn't quite exist. There's no proof of it, but she saw it, right? She saw it. And the next shot we have is Eve being split. There's something being confirmed about Eve and who she is. She is existing in two planes. There's Eve who knows things in this physical realm. There's Eve who can see things that's not quite confirmed here. So we see that identity split right here. And after she has this gift, after it shakes her up out of her sleep, the first person she connects with is Moselle Baptiste. And it is learned to us that Moselle, like Eve, shares this gift, the gift of sight, right? And she can do something super cool, is use these mirrors to conjure the images of her past love. She can bring the past right in front of her, just like it was yesterday. All right, now that we got that information, step back in. Y'all are good at color theory, I know now. How does this setup make you feel? How do the colors make you feel? What do you gather from Miss Moselle Baptiste with just this shot?
Well, I know you've talked about red means like danger, warning, watch out. Because she does feel like, she's cursed because she's had 3 lovers of hers to, die in all kinds of different ways. She feels like that's her, it's her fault. So I think the message is with her being surrounded by all this red is that she's, well, maybe just in her mind, or it could be just coincidence that these 3 guys died, but a lot of people would suspect that she's a curse. So watch out, and because if you get in the mix with her, it's gonna end all bad for you.
Trouble.
They kill a cooch. Yeah.
Thank you, Christine.
I concur.
Yeah.
I just thought like watching this recently as opposed to back then. I never really considered the red, but I've been watching your dissections. So I was like, ooh, danger. But then thinking about her husbands and the circumstances surrounding their deaths, I feel like she had an element of her actions. It wasn't necessarily that she was the curse, but the things that she was doing. So that's it. That's all.
And it's so funny too, because right before Harry died, one of the last things she said was, "Get in that car before I kill you." Imagine that being the last thing you say to your man before he dies. It's crazy. But yes, these colors she is in a constant state of a funeral, always burying a love. And that's exactly where her wound stems from. Always saying goodbyes, always losing love, right? And she reveals something super interesting. She has this gift of sight. She can do this psychic ability for absolutely everyone. I can see their whole life, except for the men that she falls in love with and become her husband. She is totally blind. She can't see herself. So leaning into the theme of this movie, I'm just going to bring up a question. We'll answer it maybe a little later. But where do women in the story go blind for the men that they love? And is them going blind, turning a blind eye, a choice? Let's just hold on to that. Hold on to it. So Maisel today is prepping to get some psychic vision counseling to some clients. She's got Eve in the house, and she says this thing which I believe serves as a double entendre. She says to Eve, "Do make yourself invisible. If you're quiet, you'll be able to hear." Now, something that hurts Eve, being invisible, being unseen, to the advice of her Aunt Moselle, is actually a superpower, right? And being quiet and being unseen is how she caught her daddy with Maddie. And if you take a second meaning at the use of magic in this film, we can sort of apply it to ourselves. I'm a spiritual ass girl. Okay. I take it. This is magic work. This is someone telling you how to use your intuition, how to listen during a meditative state, removing yourself to receive images, to receive truths in visions that are not concrete in this plane. Make yourself invisible. If you're quiet, you'll be able to hear. Now, Eve takes this literal. She's quiet, she's invisible, so she can eavesdrop on these clients and their stories. So let's get into one client. This woman has been looking for her son for 2 months, and by using touch, Moselle is closing her vision to the physical plane, and then she's opening herself to see the truths, right? And we see that vision pop up. Her son is a drug user. And let's go back to that question that we've pondered here for the theme of this movie. Is this woman blind in love? How do you not know your son is a drug addict? She thinks he's a runaway. He didn't run away. He got caught up in some stuff and went to go chase some more stuff. And then, so you and your husband missed it because you love this boy so much. Are you idolizing your son, not realizing you have an addict in your home? Did you not want to take that on? Right? And so having to turn to Moselle for the truth, to get the hardcore vision that she lacks in this plane, it woke her up. She's enlightened to the truth of her family, and now she gets to go fix it. Eve loved her some magic. So literally a visual of a metaphorical transition, literally crossing that bridge. Eve is transitioning into the curiosity for voodoo magic. What the hell was that? I like that. Eve wants to lean more into the works that she's watching her aunt do in the house. Well, now this film has brought us into a different phase, right? Phase one was like the denial phase. Well, phase two, people like Mozelle is forcing her clients to do, are starting to face some hard truths in the house. And what a convenience. What a convenience that Roz is dressed similar to how we met Maddie. Well, Roz is torn up because a woman just called the house to confess, me and your man been doing, we getting down with the get down, right? He been laying it low and spreading it wide down here in the bayou, right? That upsets Roz, that breaks her heart. And so looking at how the apple of Lewis's eye is dressed like his wife, what emboldens Maddie, Lewis's love that makes Maddie feel alive, is the same thing that's killing Roz. And for the first time in this film, we hear her unrefinement go out the window. She's not put together, she's falling apart. And she yells, and we feel that rage, and we hear her anger, and she's still trying to hide it. She got closed doors, and the kids can't come, and they behind the whole thing, and they hiding, but she lets it out. But she controls how and where, and so who she lets it out. She still has this very much facade that she feels like she needs to carry. Here comes Cicely. Now, what she does is, right, because she's between the childhood and adulthood, she removes the children from the situation and inserts herself into an adult conversation. She don't belong there, right? And what she does is protects her father from her mother's anger. Go ahead and go down to the bar because they mad in there. She's handling an adult problem with the blindness of a child, right? If you can see the truth of who your father is, would you make your mother the enemy when she's the victim? And would you make your daddy the hero when he's the betrayer? That's childish. You can tell that she's not making the right decision because she don't have the tools yet, but she's trying to go too fast. And here, Lewis putting on his mask, playing a role, saving his image, meeting the anger of the women with a smile, right? He's going to make sure that his image stays safe. He's going to rewrite their entire vision, gaslighting. And he's going to tell y'all what had happened. I'm out there working. I got patience. Y'all mad for nothing like y'all always are. It's cool. And he's literally the bridge between Cicely and her mother, standing on opposite ends of what this man is bringing into this house. Well, if you're going to stay in the dark, let Eve be the light. Eve is confirmed again that her daddy's out there doing wrong. Her vision of her memory of him with Maddie is reinforced. Y'all told me there was nothing to worry about, and then he is being funky with this new one. So what's really going on? Here's how I want to bring a conversation back to you guys, and I'll set up the thought process here. Daddy did what he had to do, tied up his buckle. Now him and Eve are out again. And Eve asked him as they leave that woman's house, is the patient having a baby? Or do you want more kids besides us? Do you want other kids? Is that what that is? Why do you think she's having this conversation? Why is she asking about babies and kids? And what's that?
I would say she connects sex to having babies. She knows that she probably doesn't know what sex is, but she knows that that's what you do to get babies. But I just wanted to say everybody is in this movie.
It's a star cast.
All the black.
It is the star cast. Absolutely.
I guess I can kind of piggyback on what Elle was saying, because I was agreeing as well. So she's a child, she's innocent, and she's curious about sex. But she's not understanding why her dad has to do that with other women instead of with her mommy, because she probably does have that, like Elle was saying, that idea, a little tiny concept of what sex is all about. And she just feels like, as an innocent child, that the purpose of sex is just to make a baby, probably based on what her mom has taught her about the birds and the bees so far, so. Yeah, I'm agreeing with what Elle is saying. That's why she's asking about, are you trying to make more babies and have other kids and stuff?
Yeah, I agree with y'all. I absolutely agree with y'all. Cicely is attempting to reconcile this mess with an adult point of view, right? She's trying to be grown. She's trying to be this thing. But Eve doesn't have the adult tools to make sense of this. So she can't imagine sex being for pleasure. Like she, just like y'all said, she can't conceptualize that you just doing that just to do that and at the cost of the family. But like whatever you're doing in that room, it gotta be that thing that you do it for, right? You gotta make babies. So is that what this is? Like you just want children? Because there's no way you're hurting us like this for no reason. It can't be. And she doesn't have the tools to know that yet. And Lewis takes this opportunity, as he's done since we met him, denying this, rewriting her vision, rewriting her knowledge, rewriting her suspicions, causing her to doubt the truth that she does know. And she still leaves the situation idolizing this man. I raised you. I love you. You're still my daddy. Getting a little too nosy. Lewis didn't like that. But I don't know if y'all remember his face at the end of the scene. He ain't like that. So now we are fully aware of the wounds of these women, right? Roz is betrayed by Lewis. Moselle is haunted by the deaths of all of her husbands. And we can ask ourselves here, has love for these women died for both of them? Did they both lose love here, right? And Roz is taking this moment to remember how she used to see Lewis. He's a man who knows how to fix things. He's a healer who can take care of me, right? Is it more hurtful that Lewis, with the ability to fix and to heal, is just choosing not to do it? He's just choosing to just do wrong. And this is what also is confusing Eve. So you just doing that? You just doing it, right? It's not for a reason. And Roz awakening to the truth. He's just a man. But then we got to ask ourselves, okay, so you know that. You know that the blinders are kind of off, right? He's just a man. So who is she pretending for? Like what if she was a woman outside of this refined, perfected, controlling the narrative, controlling the image, playing this role? Who is she doing it for? Herself? Her kids? The town who talks about the Baptiste Bayou? Like who? You know? So we just got to get it together with Roz, all right? We meet a witch. Moselle is like, this girl is just down to the festival, not of much power. I am the one, the truth, the light. She do not believe in this lady at all. So Roz just wants to have some fun. And this witch reads her down and she tells Roz, you're in pain. Your problem will be fixed, but not in the way you imagine. Be quiet. Remember that? Be quiet and look to your children. This mirrors the advice that Moselle gave to Eve. If you're quiet, you can hear. But just as her pain has gone unseen, so has her children's. Roz has been oblivious to the pain that her children is in. And this witch is telling her stuff that she didn't want to hear, so she missed the message. She's not quiet. She didn't make herself invisible, so she missed the message. She couldn't hear because she has so much of herself and what she wants and her projection of the pain that she missed it. So she leaves pissed off, mad, because she thinks she got dragged for no reason. Well, Moselle, this intrigues Moselle. Who's like, now let me see, right? And a huge truth right here is revealed. You are cursed. You are the Black Widow. We remember seeing that spider, right? In Eve's vision in her sleep. That spider hanging right over Harry, going down the web. All husbands will die after loving you. Now the Black has reason. She's always in black. She is constantly in a funeral. She is the Black Widow spider. And Black Widow spiders are notorious, famously known for killing their husbands, not their husbands, spiders don't get married, killing their mates right after they mate. Black Widows, they snap your head off right after they're done. It's vicious. And you could see the clues from how we met her sleeping in her web, wearing the Black Widow attire. And did she know this? Is she gaslighting herself? Not paying attention. She said she was blind when it comes to her husband. Is she blind? Or is she choosing to be blind because that truth hurts too much? I don't want to take responsibility for my husband's death. So I don't know. I can't, all of a sudden I can't see. I can't read. I can't see. All of a sudden. She has another vision. Something happens. She sees a train and tracks and a silhouette as the bus is coming for her. And at the same time, and she sees someone dying. And at the same time, Eve mistakes a black snake for being dead, and it ain't. So what is all this, honey? Right? What is all this? We move into a further distancing from the family. This family is crumbling. This family is emotionally breaking apart. Roz and Moselle decide that the vision that Moselle had and the witch's advice mean to keep her children locked inside the house for the summer. Moselle said, a bus is going to hit a child. And the witch said, watch over your children, keep your children, look after them, and look to them. So they put those two together, and it was like, that means everybody got to stay in the house. That's it, right? And Lewis is like, this is a ridiculous vision. You know she's crazy. Rewriting, right? Making her vision undeniable, making Moselle's visions undeniable, calling her crazy. Well, his mama was like, she's not crazy. Her visions are always true. But he can't do that, because if her visions are true, he might be in trouble about some things. So he got to make sure his family is believing this facade. We got an all-out battle right here between Cicely and Roz. This is a battle for woman of the house. Roz's power is null and void in this house. Ain't no one listening to her. No one respects her. No one confides in her. No one looks to her, right? It's all about Lewis. And in a flip of the power structure, Cicely calls her mother immature. You know he's working. You know he's stressed out, and you up here doing X, Y, and Z to make him mad. She calls her mother immature, trying to put her mother in the child's place, trying to step up as the woman of the house. I can't do it. I can't do it. Eve wanting to get into some in the house board, and we bored in the house, going into Moselle's witchery box, pulling out a snake, using the snake to scare her brother, using it against Poe. And while cooking dinner, this is such a layered dialogue. This is a layered scene, a layered psychology. While cooking dinner, Roz cuts her finger, totally by accident, right? And Eve asks her, does it hurt? And her mother goes, what? Just blank-mindedly, totally forgetting what? Your finger, mother. What else would I be talking about? Roz is so used to denying her pain and playing this role, she don't need help no more. She can put her pain down. It's automatic. She forgot that she cut herself. She doesn't even remember it. What happened? While she's bleeding. That's really, really, really deep. Really intense when you forget yourself, right? You don't even attend to your pain because you've been taught by your family, it's been reinforced by your family that your pain is not important, clearly. So Eve right here is tired. Everybody's lying. Everybody's playing a facade. Everybody's got their mask on. Eve wants people to tell the truth. Stop lying to me. Stop lying to yourself. Everybody just needs to come out right now, right? And she alludes to Roz that she knows daddy's cheating, shattering Roz's image of a glass house, shattering Roz's vision that she built up to protect herself. And tells Moselle, mama's cutting herself, blaming the way Cicely blames her. Eve is blaming her for her own pain. She's doing it to herself. Could y'all imagine? I scream. I can't. So we're going to try this again, right? Eve tells the truth again. about Lewis and Maddie because it didn't work with Cicely. Daddy wasn't admitting to it. She tries again to break this big illusion in her home, and she confides in someone who she adores, who she shares a gift with. However, Moselle turns out to not be a safe space for Eve. And she says, if you tell anyone or hurt your mother's feelings again, I'll kill you. Now, wait a minute. I thought we was on the same page. I thought we was cool. Aunt Mosey? Shit. Right? And Mose helps the family by upkeeping this facade, upkeeping this lie. This is so frustrating and confusing for Eve. Why won't anyone just admit it? 10 years old. Imagine knowing all this stuff at 10 years old. Well, Moselle does something that is radical, as Michaela Cole taught us in the finale of I May Destroy You. She encourages Eve to have grace for Lewis and shares her own infidelities. Well, if you're so mad at your daddy and you love me, guess what? We one and the same. What your daddy is doing to your mama, I did to one of my favorite husbands, Maynard. And though she loved him, she had other lovers. It just had happened. And she said, Maynard may have knew, he may have had a suspicion, but he continued to love her, and he stayed and he chose her, right? So we can ask, as we seeing these themes of adultery and staying and facades and all of that, is continuing to be blind to the truth a form of love? Is that a form of love, right? We had the client who wouldn't awake to her son being a drug addict. We got Maynard pretending his wife ain't cheating. We got Roz kind of addressing it some nights, kind of not. It depends on her mood. People putting these blinders on as love. Let it exist as it is, even if it's costing ourselves. I don't know, just ask questions, And so with this information, Eve is being a total 10-year-old, totally childish. And Moselle does something so interesting. She gives her adult insight. Well, since you have so many questions and since you're so confused, I'm gonna let you know adult relationships are not black and white. It's not simple. He cheat, let's go, he's leave, good, bad, X, Y, and Z. There's complexities and messiness and all of that, right? And since you adore me, I'm gonna share my very adult, inappropriate truth with you right now. And we put down that childish point of view for a second with this adult information. So Cicely trying to play house again with her daddy. It's getting weird. I'm gonna just say it is getting weird. Cicely is playing house with her daddy, waiting up for her father the way a woman of the home would. And she, again, with these adult objects, she's making him scotch to drink, playing bartender. And he orders from her. He lets her play this adult role, this 14-year-old making your scotch when you get in at whatever hour of the night. We're really blurring the lines here. Really, she's teetering on the line of, all right? And something really strange happens in this scene where she's really disappointed when Eve comes running in, crashing this glass house that she built. She wants to play house with her daddy. But Eve comes running in. So this automatically puts her back in the child's place, aligning herself as the sister of Eve, as the child of Lewis, not the woman of the house. And further disappointed when Lewis tells him to go to bed. That's what you tell your daughter. That's what you tell kids, go to bed, right? You don't tell the woman of the house that. Look how mad she is. You came here and bust up everything that I'm building. We have more reflections appearing here. Moselle with her mystery man, right? Will she remain the wounded, cursed Black widow? Or will she allow herself to have yet another new love? You can choose, right? Is she cursed by design? Is there choice in here? Is there responsibility in here, right? Elle said that earlier. Maybe it's for something that she's doing that's doing something. There's duality in this character, and we're totally diving into that. And this mystery man, his name is Gray Raven. He says something so beautiful. He can't stop searching until he finds his wife. And this is when they connect. This is when they touch. So whose vision becomes unreliable? His. as he's literally closing his eyes. His vision is unreliable. He thinks he is searching for who he's married to, but what he said was his wife. Little did he know the wife he was searching for was Moselle. This is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And we go from Harry's black and white photographs, the way he envisions his wife, to this beautiful, colored, painted artwork by Gray Raven. He sees her differently. There's a different texture to this love. She is envisioned differently. Gorgeous. And of course, right after, we are reminded of a Black Widow. We have Eve paired with the spider. All right, let's do some character work. Let's do some character work. How y'all feeling? Y'all got questions? Y'all want to jump in? Y'all want to? How we feeling?
I want to go back to some scene that you showed earlier from the movie. I just was noticing. I just want to point out what I was thinking, like at the dinner table scene.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like how the camera was angled, at the table. Yeah, that scene. See how the I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Always the same. Okay, I'm busy. But anyway, when you see how the mother Roz is on one end, and it seemed like the rest of the family is really closer towards Lewis, because that's showing more symbolism that they align more to him as the authority of the house, and they give him the respect and reverence, as opposed to Roz. She gets none of that. So I just noticed that when you were going over it, and I was looking at saying how that table is angled. It seemed like they're all closer to Lewis, and Roz is kind of further apart, away from them, like alienated.
You absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Absolutely right. No matter the bad he does, that would drive me crazy personally. That would drive me up the wall, that y'all are choosing this man. You see how mad I am, you see how hurt I am, and you're choosing him, right? So we have this power dynamic battling again, right? Cicely vying for the spot to be the other woman. And this is what brings me back to Maddie. Remember what I asked at the top of the show, when why do they align? Wanting to be the other woman, wanting to be in Roz's spot. Maddie sexually, we don't know what this love is here yet with Cicely. But this is really the challenge. But the gag is she mirrors her mama. She wouldn't dare look like Maddie. She wouldn't dare act like Maddie, even though she blames her mother. She is disappointed in her mother. Her mother is the epitome of womanhood. Lady, right? She got the ring, the house, and all of that. Even though daddy's being a little weird, you are still what I envision to be a woman. But in trying to get this spot, she thinks she has to be the woman her mother isn't in order to gain her father's love. So not only am I going to become you, I'm going to do you better than you doing you. How dare you? How dare you? This 14-year-old hot mess coming in the house, thinking I'm going to play you better than you playing you. Whew. And again, blind to the fact that her father's love hurts her mother. You want this love for what? What is the prize, sis? Like, what is the prize? Ain't no prize, right? And we have a huge shift in the film yet again, Roz hitting Cicely and causing a further emotional divide in this home. So here brings us to the night of the storm. Huge thunderstorm down at the Bayou. Everybody's in the house, except for Dad, of course. And this is where Roz gets her power back, right? Cicely is coming to wait up for her daddy the way she usually does, the way a woman of the house would. But Roz, for once, is downstairs and taking up her spot. forcing Cicely back into her role. You are a child. I am the mother. You will not sit in this chair and wait up for your daddy anymore. Do you hear me? Right? And she actually confesses something to Cicely here. She admits that though she doesn't even understand her home, she can't see what this house and this family is calling for. She can't see it. Her vision unreliable. What she will do is keep it in order. Right? These are my rules, my house. You're going to do as I say. And we see for the second time, Roz unleashing her full fury on Lewis when he finally gets home. The girls can't sleep. Huge fight in this storm. And this family is just trying to figure it out. But somebody is having a great time. Gray Raven! Moselle is having an incredible time with Julian Gray Raven, who asks her to be his wife. But she resists here, y'all. And I'm gonna ask y'all to come back in. She resists here and says she's cursed, but she doesn't say she's cursed because her husbands die. She says she's cursed because she's barren. Now let's dive into her mind. Let's dive into this character. Let's dive into what motivates her, what scares her, where she lies to herself. Why does she say that? Why does she say barren instead of I'm the Black Widow? I was told I'm the Black Widow.
So I think it goes back to the ego. The ego like tells false narratives to protect itself. So instead of seeing her truth, like she said, it's easier. Well, she said she's blind to her truth or something like that. No, you're not blind to it. You choose to see the story that you want to see.
I was thinking maybe out of fear, she felt like if she would say barren, like she couldn't have any children, that it wouldn't be like a big deal to him because he's, he is older, so maybe he may not want any children either, because he's not super old, but so
hey,
yeah, he's not old, but old enough. It's okay. I already got kids anyway. I got grown kids, so I don't care about having kids. So I feel like maybe she said that because she's fearful. She does love him and doesn't want him to be driven away. If she would say, I'm cursed because all three of my husbands died. So maybe she was afraid that he may be scared of that and leave. So she picked a not as, fatal option by saying, oh, I'm just barren, I just can't have any kids, I'm cursed in that way. That's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong.
I think it's all of it. I think when the witch, the reason why she chose to purchase a reading from the witch is because she witnessed the witch tell Roz truth. That's what made her wake up and believe. But then when the witch had that truth for her, she called the witch a liar. You old lady, you liar. How dare you? Smashes that lady's tip jar. And so we're at this crossroads again, where is she choosing to be blind? Like, is she running away from the fact that, yeah, this might be your fault. This might be your doing. Is she choosing to be blind? Or does she thoroughly believe she has lied to herself for so long? She thoroughly believes it's a lie. I'm not that. Like, my curse absolutely is that I'm barren, and you need to know that. My husband just happened to die, but I'm absolutely barren, and that is the truth. Is she that deep into this false narrative, into this false vision, right? Blind to her own curse. Well, now we're back. We're not back, but we're shifting again into another phase of the film. Moselle and Roz were fearful for their children. You cannot go outside until this curse that we saw in the vision is over. So it's confirmed. As Moselle saw a child got hit by a bus, that means my kids are safe. We good to go. Joy comes back at the cost of the death of a child, right? This is Moselle's vision. A child got hit by a bus. It's not any one of us. We good. Joy returns. Roz's worries are over, are ceased. We safe now. The irony that joy is coming when there was a death. A child has died. Well, everyone is not happy, right? We have Cicely devastated. Something is so wrong with her. It turns out that she woke up and today she got her period. This is a symbol of womanhood, of fertility, of maturity. Not only did a kid die by a bus, but Cicely is mourning the death of her childhood. Her childhood has officially died. And this is working backwards because this should be what she wants. But she is devastated. She is devastated at the oncoming of this period. And when little Eve teases her for having this period, she goes into this full rage that her mother won't ever let y'all see. You don't ever see her mother doing it. You can hear it, you know it's there, but you can't ever see it. Unlike her mother, she lets his full rage go, fighting down to the front yard where the whole family got to break these two apart. I'm going to skip that. And this is the first that we've seen Cicely rejecting Lewis. The girl who wanted nothing more than to have his attention, his time, his love, his affection. She says, I don't want you here. I don't want you looking at me. Closed off. Can't meet his eyes. We have never seen this girl act like that to her daddy. Well, something happened. Eve wants to continue her journey of acting out because she's mad that everybody's faking the funk. And on her journey of being a little badass in the town, she meets the witch. Let's hold on to that. This period, this death of a childhood, renders Cicely lifeless, joyless, recluse, her causing a further divide. Well, this doesn't cause it, but it's happening. A further divide in the parents, right? It was a false vision. When that child died, something died in this house, right? We have the death of innocence in this home, right? And Roz thinks she is blamed because she hit Cicely. We all know what Lewis is doing, but still in this moment, it's Roz's fault. Look at her cutting herself. Look at her cutting herself. So now we really lose a child here. They really lose a child here. And Cicely says, I'm moving out. She cannot be in this house. But before she goes, we have a huge confession. Huge confession. Blinders totally off. And Cicely admits to Eve, I know what happened with Daddy and Maddie. I knew the whole time. Mama knows, the whole town knows. She was lying to you. And who was that to protect? Was it to protect Eve? Was it to protect herself? Was it to protect her dad's image as this first colored doctor in the town? It was this amazing feat that he accomplished. Who was it to protect? This lie to Eve, he's not that person, right? And she brings us down to a memory the night of the storm where her mother told her, go back upstairs. You're not waiting up for your daddy anymore. Cicely confesses that she's doing all this. She's trying to satisfy her dad in the way that she thought her mother was feeling because she feared that he'd divorce us. I'm going to lose my dad. So if he's not staying because of my mother, I will become my mother so he stays, right? It was her encouragement for him to not leave the family. So it wasn't some self-indulgent, weird little fantasy. It was, my dad is going to leave. And if this is what he needs, I will be that. And I'm angry at my mother for not being that. But something strange happened one night, the night of the storm. She didn't adhere to her mother's rules, who her mother told her, I give you these rules to protect you and keep you safe. And Cicely did not obey. She went against her mother's rules. Went back down, waited up for her father, as not advised by her mama. And she admits, I sat on his lap and I was scared. To me, this feels a little like blame, but I don't know. To me, it feels a little like blame. Does she blame herself for what happened this night? And she says, I was trying to get away and he was hugging me. Now, this really triggered something for me because this felt like a similar language in the way that Eve was trying to describe in her childlike language how her father was acting with Maddie. We know what he was hunching. They was having sex. But to little Eve, she doesn't know what that is. And she said, they was rubbing. So now when we have Cicely in between adulthood and childhood and constantly faltering between the two, she describes it, what happened on her daddy's lap as he was hugging me. And then he hits her and the memory is over. Let's have a deep conversation here right now. Let's go back to her period. What if it wasn't her period? Ella's like, y'all could come on in and join me. What if it wasn't her period? And I can't get away from that thought. Like, I did see the blood in the panties, but doesn't that happen also for a sexual assault?
But I was thinking, like, when I watched it again with adult eyes, I was like, well, she was upset for 2 weeks for her period. And like this is the first time you notice, and you haven't said anything else about like blood with Cicely after that one incident. So I didn't think it was period.
You know, I totally, it kind of, I guess it slipped me that she was upset for that long. I totally forgot she was upset for that long, because now that I'm thinking about it, you know, from that perspective, it is odd that she would be scared. I mean, she would be upset about a period for that long.
She totally like lost herself. I mean, she like disappeared into this shell.
Right? Got mine at 13, it wasn't that deep. I mean, I was like, this is gross, you know, and it was like a couple of days I was over it, you know, once it was over. It never was that so severe where I was just like withdrawn or want to be super violent for that long period of a time, 2 weeks. So now that I'm thinking about it, now my view is like changing. Like it's possible that he did, you know, unfortunately do some incestuous sexual assault on his daughter.
And the way that she attacked Eve whenever she like announced it to everybody, that was like an indicator, because that was an overreaction.
But I also had a question about I'm just wondering, like, if he did this, I mean, why would he write that letter to his sister saying that confessing and making it seem like it was the other way around, like his daughter was trying to come on to him?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Not anything at all if he did do that. I mean, usually predators don't write a full confession and talking about the child came on to me. They just keep denying it. You know, no, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to her. But why would he go about and write this long elaborate letter about it to his sister?
I think she accused him of it because after she read Eve's hands, she saw like what Cicely had told Eve, and then she confronted her brother. And so I think he was writing a letter in response to that, like before, you know, death or whatever. I don't think he knew he was going to die. I think that was just his response to her accusation.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I totally forgot that she did. Like, Moselle must have confronted him about it, and then he decided to write a letter about it. But I wonder, like, because that's obviously that was a scene that we didn't see. Why didn't he like vocally tell her what was going on? Like, just deny it and say, no, I didn't do that. Why would I do that to my child?
This is a character study. Yeah, this is a character study. Let's dive into his mind. How did we meet Lewis? How did we meet him? And what does he tell the women in his family?
Oh, you think? Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. The letter was probably gaslighting. Now that I'm thinking about it. See, if I write this letter, it seems sincere, and twist the story, twist the narrative, like my daughter was coming on to me and I slapped her because she was wrong for that. Maybe my sister will believe me.
He has been doing one action this entire time. His dirt and trash and saying something else in the light. So I imagine this letter is a pre-protection of his image, you know, rewriting these memories, rewriting these recollections, rewriting these stories. She didn't really see what she thought she saw. Let me tell you what happened. He's been doing that since we met him. So it's giving assaulter. It's giving, you know what I mean? So this again, for me, just leans right into that theme again of these false memories and how we recollect. And I'm going to bring this actually to Cicely, right? What Cicely and Lewis did at the top of the movie was change Eve's memory of him and Maddie. They both did that to her. So now that something has happened to her, is Cicely adopting that? Is she doesn't need help no more? Is she changing her own, like, is she like not saying like what had happened to herself? I sat on his lap, he kissed me, he hit me. Like, that's her full story. That's her full memory. Is she rewriting this thing too? The way Mozelle's rewriting it, the way Roz is rewriting it, right? And I wonder in this moment, does it mirror the love of their ancestry? Again, we're thinking of trauma included in love. How can an African slave give 16 children to some white general who set her free? That don't sound like love, but like the way it's being retold generations later, it's a little softer, it's a little cuter. We're forgetting some parts. Maybe the slave sat on his lap. She sat on General's lap, and that's what happened. I don't see. Could happen. I don't see it, right? And so with this news, with this knowledge, Eve hates her father, and she vows as a promise to her sister Cicely, she is going to kill that man. Well, she needs some help. We asked Mozelle, how do we use voodoo to kill? How do I kill somebody with voodoo? And Mozelle like, you can't. Right? As a full witch, and knowing the magic that slave women use, African enslaved women use to kill their masters. This is magic handed down to you generations. And Mozelle looks at Eve and says, you can't kill with voodoo. I personally didn't buy it. And knowing the themes of this and this family's patterns, is she attempting to change Eve's truth, change your feelings about it, to help control this illusion? The way she did when Eve said, my daddy was sleeping with Maddie. Well, don't tell nobody that. She's helping again to keep this illusion. And something happens here. We touched on it. Either Mozelle pretended not to see, reading Eve, or that little blind thing she like comes back when it's people that she loves, when it's somebody she's directly involved with too deep. She can't read her. She can't see now. And she says, go ahead and keep that secret. I don't know what you're hiding. I can't read it. We don't see anything as the audience. But there's like a little reaction at the end of that scene where she's shaken. But we don't see what she saw or what she didn't see. So, well, look, if she ain't going to help, we're going to have to go down to somebody. I know Will, this plan is in motion. Eve put a little bug in Mr. Monroe's ear. Maddie and Daddy real friendly when you out there working, so just keep that in the back of your gizzard, right? She visits the witch. Look, I got $20 and some hair. Let's get this voodoo popping. What's up? What's good? And in the opposite motion of the way we saw her crossing the bridge with Mozelle, with pure intentions, with purpose, with healing into the world of magic, we're going the opposite direction. We're leaning into dark magic. We're gonna cross the bridge the other way with this witch who could help me with some dark work here, right? And this witch confirms that I can kill with voodoo. So who lying? Who the hell's lying, right? And this witch got nothing to lose. She's been the only honest person in this entire thing. And she's real mean about it. but we can count on her, which is very, very strange. People that we love, we absolutely cannot count on. So the witch does this magic work. She puts Lewis's hair in the mouth of a snake, bringing back these images we've seen earlier of Eve interacting with snakes and dead things, and all of it wrapping up like Moselle. Is she responsible or not, right? And she has this huge breakdown, which I want to confer with you both again. She has this huge breakdown, and she says, I need something. She needs like a keepsake to prove that she was involved in the death of her father. And when she has nothing physical to show for it, she has this huge change of heart, this huge regret, because there's no voodoo doll, there's nothing to poke pins in, and she wasn't active enough in this. So she has this huge change of heart. What do y'all make of that? Because honestly, like, this was a bit, it was weird. It was weird because you wanted this so bad, and because you don't have this thing to prove your activity in it, you change your mind.
I don't think I watched that the same.
Okay, what did you get from it? Because this was so, it was such a rapid switch of intention. I was like, what is that?
I saw that as her regretting trying to kill him and trying to take it back. But she had already like pretended to make that voodoo doll and was like stabbing at the fake doll. So she wanted to go to the witch to take it back. But then the witch used the fact that she had the doll to say, oh, it's on you now, because I didn't tell you anything about a doll and he should be dead already. And she was just like messing with her.
But right there, he should be dead already. And she came down to assure that he was dead.
She was trying to take it back though. Like, she's like, I don't want him to die, I think.
What you make of it, Christine?
Yeah, that's what I always interpreted from that scene, is she felt guilty and she thought about it. She had to change her heart and didn't want her daddy to die, but it was too late because we were like, it's too late. It's gone through. Done. That's what you wanted, right? And she was taunting her about it, and laughed. Remember, she laughed at her and stuff. She did. This woman had
her change her mind.
Like, she didn't have any type of sympathy for her. Like, that's what you wanted, right?
Mm-hmm. What makes her change her mind, though? What happened?
I don't know. I mean, she loves her daddy, so I don't know. She just decided. I mean, she's in that fit of rage, the anger. You sometimes you do end up regretting things. So maybe that was it. I'm not sure, but yeah, from that, I remember in that scene, it seemed like she came to her and said, "No, I don't want to do that. I changed my mind. I want to take it back." And then she's like, "Nope, it's too late."
Yeah, I think like sometimes when you're mad and you're in the heat of the moment, you like go out and you make all these moves, and then you have your time to think about it. And you're like, oh, maybe I need to correct that. I don't need to do that.
Because remember after, like, she ran down to where her daddy was. Was he at that bar?
Yep, that's coming up.
She's like, "Come on, Dad, let's go home. Let's hurry up and go home." It was before he died, and then he said something to the husband, that's her name, Maddie, right?
Maddie and Mr. Monroe, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Monroe, yeah. He went up, remember, he confronted him because he put two and two together because Eve put that bug in his ear. And he's like, "Stay away from my wife. Don't you say to my wife anymore. You hear me? Or I'll kill you." And then he thought he was playing, right? Lewis thought he was playing, and Eve was trying to get him to, go home, let's go home before something go down. And it did, because he turned around and said, "Good night, Maddie." And then, dude turned around, her husband turned around and shot him.
So that was her her next attempt to try to save it, to try to correct what she had already did.
Yeah, that's why she's trying to make her daddy hurry up and trying to pull him to come home. Like, "Come on, let's go home, Daddy," because she knew she felt wrong for doing that on, wishing that death on, putting that death on him. But it was too late. The witch said it was too late. It already went through, and that's what you wanted. So, yeah.
Okay. Something in that witch's house happened, and I didn't get it, because if she wanted this thing reversed, I would imagine there would be a panic, a little pep in her step on the way to the witch's house, it was giving very like, let me just check in because it's Thursday night. Like she said, she's walking slow. She's going in, she's knocking politely, seeing X, Y, and Z. And when she goes in, she was like, okay, it's not done yet, right? Because you didn't give me a doll. And she's like, well, there is no doll. And she said, I needed it, but I needed it. I need the doll. So to me, it looked like she wanted to assure that his death was totally in her power. And she was upset because she wasn't as involved in it. That if this would be the witch's doing and not hers. She said, well, you did enough. You gave me hair and $20. And she was like, no, I need the doll. I was supposed to put pins in it. So something there is like, and so because she didn't have this doll, now she doesn't want him dead. I think she really wanted the blood on her hands.
But she had already had the fake doll that she made.
Yeah, she just used what she had, but it wasn't directly connected with how her and the witch were working.
I think that might have been her like having those second thoughts, like, okay, if I have this doll, then I'll be able to control it if this is what I really want to do. Okay.
Yeah, that part was so confusing for me, but I wanted to check in with y'all because I was like, this part, it moved too fast from her being sure and being like, is it done, to, oh my God, I don't have the doll, I have to go save him. I was like, I wasn't quite understanding that bridge, but let's get to it. Plans are in motion. The snake with her daddy's hair is buried in the backyard, as all these omens were calling to her earlier. She tries to save dad down at King's Bar. Maddie hates seeing her. And we have the death of Lewis, confirming that Mozelle's vision in front of the bus was incorrect. She was wrong. She thought the kids had to stay in the house because a child got hit by a bus, but all these visions were moving too fast. It was so powerful that it knocked her out in the street in front of that Eve's Bayou bus. It wasn't a child getting hit by a bus. It was the vision of Lewis's death, and the child she saw was Eve. And this death with all these automobiles, right? The train is going by. The bus is about to hit a kid. Harry died in a car accident. All of these mirroring items confirming these visions. But this was her first false vision, right? Even down to the way Lewis falls on the ground with the hat falling off the head is the same exact way Harry, the last vision of Harry had his hat falling off when he drunkenly rides in the car that Mozelle drove. So like Mozelle, Eve may have drove the vehicle to her daddy's death. I don't know, asking questions, right? Even the way down to Mr. Moreau shoots daddy mirrors the way her lover shot Maynard. Same exact thing. All of these mirror images. And this is where I really steep myself into the theme of this. This is about, again, unreliable visions and memories, just the way the monologue in the beginning said. Memories are a selection of images, some elusive, some printed down to your brain. You select and put together and try to make sense of what had happened. Is Eve, y'all, is Eve an unreliable narrator? Are her memories, what's happening in this movie, false? All of these images that she's recollecting from us are mirroring each other, and look, could she be putting things in places where things hurt and not seeing things clearly? Or is she right? Is this entire thing unreliable?
I believe so. I mean, that's because that's for anybody. I mean, memories can be very weak, or sometimes they can be very strong, depending on how much time has lapsed since the incident, or it depends on how traumatic the incident was. If your memory will still be strong on that. So, yeah, I mean, I remember things that when I was a baby, that happened when I was still toddling around in diapers that no one else will remember. Like, oh, you remember things when you were a little small baby in diapers? How? I don't remember anything as a baby because I'm like, that's trauma. Trauma makes some memories very, very deep and unerasable, you know? So, you know, I'm thinking like some of the things that have happened with her were true, and some of the things in her memories that happened were kind of misconstrued in her memory.
Let me tell you how I forgot. I was studying this movie for like the past few days, and I'm looking for this shot. I'm looking for a very specific shot. I wanted a wide shot with the witch and with Roz at the same time. And I had just watched the movie and I was playing it again. And I was like, where is this shot? Where is this wide? Well, I forgot. My memory was unreliable. It was Moselle's shot. I was looking for this, but swore up and down it was Roz. Roz never had a wide shot with this witch. And I'm thinking like waiting for the shot so I could have an image for you guys. And it was Moselle the entire time. That's how unreliable memory is. You understand? And especially if you have someone, she's an adult now, we don't know how old, but this is from when she was 10. This is something traumatic, as Cicely is not quite saying the full story. This is something traumatic in her life, the death of her father when she was 10. And not only is she trying to remember the physical realm, but she has visions. Look how the vision of Harry mirrors the physical vision of her father dying. They died the same exact, the way they fell is the same exact way. The way he shoots is the same exact way the way Maynard got shot. The bus hitting the kid and the train running by. I feel like it's all, Eve don't know. I feel like Eve don't know. All right, so let's wrap this up now. The Black Widow choosing marriage and just hopes maybe something different could happen this time. I'm going to try to marry this man. I know it's been proven 3 times. Maybe she's being blind. Maybe she's being silly about it. But all you have is just to try. And she's going to. This feels good. She's tired of being alone. And she has no confirmation, but this is what she's going. Well, maybe she does have a confirmation, but she's choosing not to lean into that. And she's going down with what she hopes for. Roz's advice from the witch is fully realized. Her problem is ended, not in the way that she imagined, but your problem is solved now. You'll be happy in 3 years. And she misunderstood. This is something that she misunderstood. She had no idea what look to your children meant. And it was right here. Finally gaining her home, finally gaining her family, gaining her children. They turn to her, they rest in her, right? But at what cost? It cost Lewis to get this, right? And I want to remember the monologue, Eve's monologue from the beginning, when she speaks of the African slave and the general, and she says, in return for his life, he freed her and gave her the Bayou. Roz is not an original Baptiste. She's in there by marriage. Lewis is the Baptiste, his mom is the Baptiste, and the babies are Baptistes. Roz is married into the Baptiste family. In return for his life, he freed her and gave her the Bayou, right? Now we have Lewis's letter. We've been hitting at it. We've been talking about it. This is the letter he writes to Moselle, telling his side of the story, what happened with Cicely the night of the storm. She tried to make an advancement against me, and I was so startled I hit her. Let me tell you something funky that happens here. And if you feel like you want to see it for yourself, this is really cool. As he's signing off of the letter, Eve is stomping out to the garden to go see Cicely. And she has his letter and she goes, liar. And he goes, Lewis. Y'all, I don't think that was by mistake. Liar, Lewis. I don't think that was by mistake. I thought that was a really, really, really cool trick right there. And Eve leaning into her powers, using her sight, her gift of sight for truth. And there's still a gap in the story. Cicely cannot tell the truth because he hurt her so badly, she wanted to die. It's blocked from Eve because it's so deeply blocked from her. But in this moment, they attempt to reveal the truth to each other. Eve reveals to her sister, I do have this power, just like Aunt Mazel. Cicely tries to tell her the truth, and I'll let you in, but there's physically nothing there. It's blocked, right? And I wonder if Moselle saw it when she tried to read Eve. I wonder if somebody knows something and it's so dark they can't speak it and they can't see it. And this just mirrors Eve's blockage to Moselle. Moselle couldn't read Eve. And so we can ask ourselves once again, where do women in this story go blind for the men that they love? And is it a choice? And just leaving it here off the bayou, very beautiful. And she ends with another monologue, like others before me, I have the gift of sight, but truth changes color depending on the light. I just, you know what I mean? It's good, y'all. It was good. It was good. I'm going to end my stream, but I'll check in with you guys for your final thoughts and comments. I want to thank everyone on the rewatch for joining me for this dissection of Eve's Bayou. Thank you so much. I will see you back on YouTube, and we'll have our next dissection next month. And thank you so much. See you guys later. I'm going to end my stream. Cool. So it's finished recording on YouTube.